Okay, so I'm making ribs this weekend, and I put it out there that I was going to try this new sauce, this stuff right here. This is habanero pineapple. Found it at the grocery store. They're actually discontinuing it, so I got a good price. And a few of you had asked me to bring you along with some of the steps. So this is really where the most important part of making the ribs is the preparation. Now I'm going to actually start cooking them tomorrow. I'm going to smoke them for about 5 hours. This is almost 5 pounds of ribs, and it'll take that long to render all the fat and connective tissue that holds it together and make it just nothing but succulent and soft and tender and just beautiful, slightly chewy, slightly falling off the bone, but not perfectly. So I thought I was going to do this with pictures, and I thought it'd just be too complicated. And I thought, well, maybe I could shoot a little video and edit that, but I don't have the kind of storage on my computer or on my iPhone to shoot like a video, and I don't know how long this is going to be. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to do it live, man. I've never done a live Facebook on my own page for personal stuff. So here you go. Anybody who's interested in making ribs, and by the way, you don't have to have a smoker to do this. There are ways of doing ribs that I had been doing well before I got a smoker. It's just smokers are a better way, especially if you like that flavor. So let's get started. So what we're doing today, these are spare ribs. Now, when it comes to pork ribs, there are many different kinds, but the 3 major ones that you're going to get at the grocery store are probably going to be the baby backs, which are probably have the most meat on them, the most tender and most popular, the St. Louis, and the spare ribs. And the spare ribs and the St. Louis are the same ones. Basically, St. Louis rib or the St. Louis cut is you take the spare rib, which is the full front part of the rib. You take you cut just a nice even chunk out of there, so you have nice uniform, almost like a xylophone looking slab of ribs. The spare ribs are the whole thing. And if you've noticed from my terrible, hideous northern accent, I'm from Detroit, and a lot of places I would go to have ribs like Baker's Keyboard Lounge or Burt's in the Market. They'll sell this kind of rib. I like the spare ribs because there's a lot more junk on them. There's a lot more connective cartilage and things like that. Stuff that probably, well, I know it grosses Laura out. I love it, though. So we're going to make spare ribs, and plus I think they go well with a sweet sauce. But we got to get these right. We have to prep them first, excuse me, before we can even start the 5-hour cooking. So let's get them out of the bag. I got these at Kroger. They're on sale. By the way, the pending trade war with China has made it difficult for our farmers, allegedly, to sell their pork in China. So we might have falling prices, and that's good for us who like to do a lot of things with pork. So the pork might end up being cheaper. I couldn't resist this. I mean, this is a huge piece of meat. I got it for like, I don't know, like $5. Oh, $7.25 still. I mean, that's a lot. That's 5 pounds of ribs right there. So the most important thing to do right off the bat, and this is a step that a lot of people skip, and they pay for it, is on the back of these ribs, there is a membrane, and that has to come off. If it stays on, it dries it out, and it has this like really tough, papery, unedible quality to it. So we're going to get this membrane off. And of course, because I'm doing this live without any chances of covering up my mistakes, I'm probably going to screw it up. But thankfully, it looks like I already got a finger hold. I want to get if you can see, there's a little bit of break in there. I want to get all that off. I want to peel it right off. So just got to get my fingers in there. And sometimes it comes easily. Sometimes it doesn't. And I'm sure because I do this all the time, and it usually goes well for me, the fact that I'm doing it live, it's going to make it difficult. By the way, if you're just tuning in, I'm going to put this whole thing up on my page. So if you really want to watch it, you can. It's going to be available. Anybody wants to see. I don't claim to be an expert. I do claim that I make I've never had ribs better than my own, personally, in my own opinion. I like mine. I've had a lot of good ribs too. And, one time I brought in some pulled pork, and I was telling people how I made it, and my friend was like, wow, why are you giving away your secret? Well, man, there's no secret. There's no secret. Just good cooking. If you love to cook, I certainly would like to at least tell you the few things I know about cooking. But cooking food, the sharing of food, is the very first primal expression of human love. When we share food, we share a meal together. It's a way of saying, you know what, I dig you the most, and I made these beautiful ribs for you, like I am making for the woman I love, or Reiner. All right, so see that? We got that membrane up. That's important. The next thing we're going to do is, the ribs, the shoulders, all that stuff on the pig. It's very tough meat. It's like pretty much the worst meat of the whole animal. But that doesn't mean it's bad. It's just that things like your tenderloin, they don't have a lot of fat. You don't want to slow cook any of that. You want to cook that fast, like on a grill. But this stuff has a lot of fatty tissue on it, so you have to render it. You have to do a lot of things, because if you don't do it right, what you're going to end up having are very dry and tough ribs, and we don't want that. We want succulent, falling off the bone. Not too much, though. We don't want it to be soup. So we have to do a lot to render that meat into something just absolutely beautiful. We're taking coal here and we're making diamonds. And the number one thing is getting salt on it. Now, I've made a spice rub, and you don't have to do it. In fact, I was going to use a pre-made one, but then I figured that you'd all think I was cheating, so I made my own spice rub. But the most important thing, if you do nothing else, is get salt on that meat and let it sit in that salt for at least 24 hours before you start cooking. So like I said, first thing we did, we got rid of the membrane. That was a good call. Now we're going to put salt on it. I'm using kosher salt because I'm fancy. And the reason why is because it's got big crystals, and it's just really good for this kind of stuff. You can use any kind of salt. The big thing is you want to get a lot of salt on that meat so that it can start tenderizing it overnight. And don't be shy. So I just rubbed a bunch of it there. I'm going to flip it over. You're going to have to wash your hands quite a bit. So all of you who I've made food for in potlucks, like the fiddle jam we had at Paul Hart's house last Sunday, just so you know, these are the precautions I take all the time. I'm always washing my hands, and not just doing it because camera's rolling. All right, so I made sure I got a good amount of salt on that. So right now, if I did nothing else but wrap it up and put it away, that's the important thing. You can cook with just salted salt. That salt's just going to bring out the flavor, but it's also going to start breaking down the I don't know the science, but the molecules or whatever on a cellular level perhaps, but it's going to start breaking down that connective tissue and softening up that meat. Now, I made my own spice rub, and you can buy, like, sometimes I cheat and I use this. This is Kroger Creole. It's got basically everything I put in this. In here, I have garlic, chili powder, onion powder, cumin, and I believe some Spanish smoked paprika. So I'm going to just go ahead and put quite a bit. Do not be shy with this, because the meat will absorb these spices, these flavors, and like I said, the longer you can leave it on here, the better. I wouldn't soak it in anything unless you're brining it. That's a whole other thing. Maybe I'll do something about brining in another, if this becomes a thing that I do. But you want to get this olive. Don't worry about it. You're not going to overdo it. It's going to lose a lot of it. You want to just get a lot of that just rubbed up in there in that meat. Like I said, it's going to be 24 hours before, probably get this started around noon tomorrow. I'm going to get it on the smoker. Just get all that in there. rub it in. Make sure every little bit of this meat gets a nice coating of it. So there it is. You can see what it looks like now. So to review, we've taken the membrane off. We covered it in salt, rubbed that in, and then I rubbed in an additional spice rub that I put together myself. But like I said, if you just did nothing more than just rubbed it in salt, you'd be all right. So now I put together set aside, that's just a tray. It's got some aluminum foil on it. So now all I'm going to do is wrap it up in that foil and put it in the refrigerator, and then I'm just going to forget about it until tomorrow. And then tomorrow I'm going to put it on the smoker, and I'm going to do the 3-2-1 method, which basically, if you take how long you're going to smoke it and you break it into 6 units, you're going to do 3 units of it uncovered, unwrapped in the smoker, and then 2 units of it wrapped in tinfoil again, and then 1 unit of unwrapped in the end to finish it. So let's just say you have a 6-pound piece of meat, and actually I'll average this out to say it's 6 pounds. So tomorrow when I put it on the smoker, I'll unwrap it, I'll put it on there with the meat down, and I'll smoke it at, I think it smokes about, my smoker's really low, it's like 180 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll let it smoke. I'm using Jack Daniel White Oak. It's taken from actual barrels, so it's been soaked in bourbon. It just adds, believe it or not, and I'm not one to go into name brands, but using a wood that's been soaked in real bourbon really does take out and put in a lot of flavor. So there it is. It's wrapped up. I'm gonna put it in my refrigerator if I got room. I also got a turkey because I'm making a turkey on Sunday, so I'm gonna be 20 pounds fatter because I'm making ribs, spare ribs for Saturday, and then Laura and her mom and her dad are gonna be over. Well, Laura's gonna be over tomorrow too, but Laura and her parents are gonna be over, and I'm making the turkey on Sunday. So anyway, I hope that helped out, and I will post at least pictures. I don't know if I'll do any more videos, but I'll post pictures of the steps I take tomorrow. So we're making spare ribs, and we're going to try this new sauce. And by the way, Laura wanted to sample it, so we did, and it's habanero and pineapple, so it's hot and sweet. Habanero is a delicious hot pepper. It's one of the hottest ones, but it actually really has a great flavor. And it was pretty hot, but this is concentrated sauce. Once we put it on the meat, let it soak in, it'll knock it down just a little bit. So anyway, we'll update you. And I think that's it.